We're live in 4K, and we're doing a quick test here to see what the new Cursor Code Supernova is all about. So for those who don't know, Cursor just dropped a new stealth model called the Code Supernova, and it's actually free to try. And I thought I would take this time on my live stream to kind of check this whole thing out. This is a new setup where I'm coding in 4K. So if you're watching the stream right now, let me know if the font size is too small, if it's readable, or if it's not. And then I can make some adjustments because I want to try to see if I can provide an even better experience to make it easier on your eyes. So if we're going to take a look here for the 4K stream, let's go ahead and take a look. So this is something that Lee was saying about there's a new stealth model in Cursor called Code Supernova. And so there's actually a new agent mode. I don't know if you can kind of tell from this whole thing here. So this is a new actual agent way of coding with the agent. And I'll show you how we go ahead and unlock that. But first, if we go to the little gear here, we're going to go ahead and go to where it says models. We're just going to type in code. And this is -supernova, and then it has a little brain icon, which means like extended thinking. And this looks like it has a 256K token context window. And if we just go ahead and enable that, that's what's going to be able to show up here in our settings. So we see Code Supernova, and we type in that code here, and then make sure it's checkmarked, and then we're pretty much set. And so now we're able to now use this new model. So yeah, just kind of checking things out. Would love to get your opinion. If you're watching this right now, this is me testing my new 4K stream on YouTube. And so if you want to check the stream, let me know if you can read this. Should I increase the fonts to maybe like this? Is this much more readable for you? Or was the other way too small? I'm hoping that with the 4K stream that I don't have to make the font so big, and would just love your feedback on this. So this is kind of a test stream right now, but we're just going to test this out and watching me go through this. So bunx convex dev. And so I'm just going to start the server real quick and see if we can add some features to this. So last time when we worked on this project, basically what this does, for those who don't know, I used the new Nano Banana model. And with the Nano Banana model, what I'm doing is users can actually upload their images, and it's going to add this really cool anime effect to it. So these are the recent images that have been added. And then last time we were using Codex, and we added caching so that whenever images that were loaded that were previously loaded, it would just kind of load them up from the cache. Is kind of why you're seeing the previous images here load up super fast. And so whenever I click, okay, the font is too small. Awesome. So yeah, let me make this a little bit bigger for y'all. So that way you can kind of do this here. And then is that better for y'all? Yeah. No, this is great. I'm really loving this. Is kind of the reason why I want to do this test stream right now before I actually really kind of go live. So this is kind of fun. You guys are getting a real an insider peek at this. Also, how's the audio level? I know I'm a little bit stuffy from recovering from my cold. And so I also wanted to test how some of the layout stuff would look like. Cursor has this new thing called a new agent layout. And so I'm able to get to this in this little settings. It's part of the beta. If I go into the beta and if I go to the agent window, if I enable this, this is going to have this new thing called the agent window. And so if we do that there, this thing's kind of floating up above. And what's kind of cool about this is I can do Command E to toggle up and down. And so now I can kind of get rid of some of these windows. And then I probably even may able to turn these off too here, right? So if I hit Command J to get rid of this at the bottom, and that way I can just kind of focus on the code. So for example, if I just do this thing here and then hit Command E, I should be able to pop up my new agent window. And so I think now we should be able to have resolved all of our font issues. And so if I pop this agent window up, it looks like I have access to this here. So I'm going to do Command plus to make this a little bit bigger. So that way it can be much more readable for y'all. So this is going to be really cool. So I'm going to overlay this like this. And I think what I find interesting about this workflow here is this is the new agent view. So if I want to ship features and stuff, I can review what the agent is doing with the files here on the left-hand side. Make this a little bit bigger maybe. Okay, that's probably much more readable. And I still have access to the terminal down here. So in this agent view, all I'm doing is basically typing and coding and then shipping stuff over here. And then this is kind of what's going on. So if I hit plus new agent, this agent here will be able to select the model. So I'm just going to do Code Supernova. And then as far as agent, I'm going to do it this way. I'm not going to do the background agent. And then I can request any features I want. And it looks like I can focus on the editor view by clicking that. And then over here, it says toggle terminal window. So that looks like I can turn on the terminal this way. And then I can turn on the right pane over here on the right-hand side. So if I'm working with files, I can kind of do that. And so one of the features I do is Command E to shortcut back into Cursor. And so this is kind of cool because now I could just have a code view instead of having this kind of like 3-pane view. And what I like about this is sometimes I'm over here just in like agent mode, and this kind of allows me to freely, like if you have 2 screens, I mean, I can't really demo 2 screens right now, but like having one screen that just has the agent window like this in this nice display, and you can toggle this off and on, and then you can also do some code reviews. Okay, so this is really cool. And yeah, so let's just go ahead and I'm going to pop this view back in, and I'm going to make sure I get the terminal back up. So I'm just going to do, just do Command K to clear things out. Okay, Command K. You know what's interesting is Command K does not work in here. That's a bug. I'll have to let them know. Bun X convex dev. Yeah. Okay, so if I do Command tilde, does that work too? No, that doesn't work either. Huh. Okay, bun dev. Wow. Okay, so this view is interesting. In this view, it's a little bit different from the other terminal view. And so if I do like Command K, it didn't really pick up my clear the, and I can't even right click the terminal. Huh. Yeah, I don't know if it's because of this view here, but we're kind of finding these bugs live. All right, cool. So localhost 3000, let's go back here. And this is kind of the app that's loaded up. So this is the app. And then what's nice about the app is like you can load images. So people are like uploading images here. And so let's just quickly see if I can ship a feature, because right now what I've done so far is I've set up a file. I'll show you real quick. I have a structure that I have for my documentation for the Command P documentation. Okay. And in my documentation folder, I have planned features that I plan to use. And so I actually have a README doc in this root folder that actually I pretty much just yap into Cursor or yap into an agent. And then the agent generates the documentation I need to generate features. The reason why I do this is because a lot of times I'm working on features and I kind of forget where I'm at, and I want to continue where I left off. And a lot of times if an agent's working on a feature, I want to have like a very structured way that's very repeatable over and over. So this type of documentation structure is super important. And so this has the naming conventions and everything that's done. And so this is kind of how this was derived. And so in this type of thing, basically, I'm going to create a private gallery so authenticated users can browse every image without exposing other members' work. And the feature will surface a personal real-time gallery backed by convex queries. And it even has a reference to the spec here. So the plan adds convex entitlement tracking, owner scoop, and a dashboard view that reuses the public modal while hiding the share controls. And so this is really great because this is the feature I already kind of orchestrated in my previous live stream. And then this is basically what I'm going to hand off to the model and just kind of let it do its thing. And so what's nice about this spec that I wrote out, or that had the agent write out, and I'll kind of show you the non-markdown version, is that it's broken up into phases. So we get an architecture overview, which is awesome. And then the second part that we get is I'll show you, phase 0, which is the implementation phases. And I break these phases up because the agents only have so much context. And once it reaches 50% context, I like to move on. And usually those are the best times to do what I call integration testing. So integration testing means like they ship the feature, I click around, make sure things are working, and then kind of move to the next step. And so this is kind of how I do it. This is me also testing my other cameras here. So you should see this here, like 4K clear clarity for those who are just watching. And then we also have some 4K here. I'm just curious to see how the new stream setup is going. I'm just kind of checking things out. It's currently about 4:20, almost 4:20 here in Hawaii. And so I know across the world we're like, 7 p.m. in California, and then 8, 9, 10, 11 over in New York. So it's probably sleepy time for everyone else, but we get to play over here, which is really great. And so this is phase 1, phase 2. Let me just check the model. So I'm going to do Command E. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to add that file. So the file name I forgot is called private gallery spec. Private gallery spec. Okay. I want you to implement, to start the implementation for this spec. And so this is Code Supernova, and we'll see how it actually does. So we'll see this thing here. All right. So I'm going to remove on this left-hand side this type of thing, so that because I don't really need to see all the other chat windows here. And so it looks like this is the new agent view. So this is basically just the agent view by itself. And what I like about this is that there's less distractions and it gets me really focused on, what the agent is doing. So if I wanted to remove what's going on in the terminal, I can toggle that to the bottom. And then now we're actually seeing the agent write the files to the top right corner of this pane. And so now it has this little pane here and it shows the current pending changes. I really like this UI. Dang, this model is really fast. Let's see what's going on so far. So as of now, this first request has taken up 52,000 tokens. And, you know, my actual file, I'll show you Command E. And so this is actually really nice. So, wow. Okay. I learned something new. So the fact that I'm going back and forth with Command E is kind of a superpower, to be honest, because now I'm basically just kind of, you know, going back and forth between my different agent views. So here, basically, I just can review code and do different stuff like that. And like, I almost treat this as a desk, right? So this is kind of where I work in code and review stuff like this. I could even see diffs as the agent is actually writing various things. And then if I do Command E, I then pop back over here. So that way, like, I kind of have progress on where, like, what the agent's currently doing, all of its little to-dos and stuff like that. And then I can actually see any other code changes here on the side, which is really cool. So like, this is just sort of like a compressed view. If you can kind of take a look at this, like show a full file or just show the individual files. I kind of like this. This reminds me of like the Zed editor. For those who aren't familiar with Zed, they have a very similar thing to this. And I think this is a really interesting incorporation. This is very well done. I feels like, you know, being able to see this here. So, wow. It's kind of funny, but I actually feel like finally, this is a really nice way to actually read the changes as it's streaming in. But for me, I do like to be very hands-on in terms of like, you know, code that's coming in and like what's actually happening. And yeah, I'm really curious why this created this internal thing. I really don't understand why. It's also really interesting that the actual model, this Code Supernova, is actually writing a bunch of comments. This is really weird. This could come from, and I don't know if that comes from my actual implementation details. So let me just go and take a look at that plan real quick. Because some of my implementation details have code in them, but they actually don't. No, this one doesn't. Okay. Yeah, no, this model low key reminds me of a Google model. Huh. Because Google likes to do all these comments. Huh. That's weird. Okay. Yeah, that's wild. Let's see. And it's like super duper anxious about writing comments. Bro, is this like Google under the hood? Let's see. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let me do Command E again. So Command E, I'm basically trying out this new agent editor that they have. And so it separates the agent out from the actual main view here. Because typically you would get this in this toggle pane view here on the side. And that's kind of what I would use to track the agent work. And so I kind of like not having it on the side, to be honest. I like to just kind of focus on my code and then things that are going on here, and then Command E, which will kind of bring this agent view back into things. So I thought the model was actually Groq fast. I don't know. I don't remember Groq writing all these comments like this, you know? Google out of the hood. Maybe, I don't know. Like, dude, look at these comments though, bro. Like the comments are out of hand. I've only seen comments from Google's models like this, like multi-line crazy comments like this all the time. Yeah. Like, I don't know. I feel like I got the code smells. And look how anxious it is at writing code though. Like this is wild. Yeah. Oh man, this is wild. Also, how's everyone dealing with the 4K stream? Is there lag? Like, we kind of want to get the feel on this, you know? Also, because my internet connection isn't even strong enough to stream to 2 places at 4K. I could only stream at 1 place, so I chose YouTube. And then, you know, I'm not even streaming to X right now as like a test. This is actually kind of a test stream, by the way. So this is kind of like my first time taking a look at this model and testing this stuff out. I'm still a little under the weather, but I thought this would be kind of a cool way to do this. And so this has been going for a while, and it's already almost used 40% of my context window. So we're at like, yeah, that's right. Gemini. Yes. Yeah. I thought it was Groq. I don't think it's Groq, bro. Like Groq is not this comment heavy. Like this is crazy. Google for sure. Yeah. I think this is like a Google Lite, like Gemini Lite model or something like that. This is kind of what it feels like, you know, no lag, smooth on this end. Awesome. Yeah. Also, how's like the text? I think the text is now big enough for those who are trying to read it. And so that's kind of what I was playing around with here. It's a good size. I'll show you a little bit more of my setup right now. So this is kind of like the living room, I'm in a living room basically. And then this is like my other, I'm actually looking at a TV right behind you. And then, yeah, I have this bunch of other stuff here. So I have this view and I have this view and I have this view. And then I also have my other little camera here so I can kind of take a look as I'm coding on the screen with y'all, which is kind of fun, to kind of code with you. But then I'll have to like kind of move my head around every so often. So every so often, I think there's like an opportunity for me to kind of move to the side here and there. So yeah, let's see what's going on here so far. So if this thing implements it all in one shot, bro, that'd be crazy, So let's look at our to-dos. This is a massive plan. So hi, I just joined. How does this compare to Sonnet 4.1 at coding? Lewis, you just joined as well. So we're still trying to figure this out. Low key, we're thinking that this is probably like one of Google's Gemini like light models or something, but they usually like to give you like a large context window. So it seems really strange that it's a lot smaller. The thing that I find extremely strange is how much comments have shown up. And I've only seen this behavior in Google's models where they'll want to please you and then they'll try to prove to you that they did some code by showing you lots of comments and kind of making you reason through things. So I'll have to take a look at these reasoning traces and we'll kind of dig in here. So what I did start out with though was a plan. So I always like to start out with a plan. And this is kind of how I can baseline these models, right? Like we can actually do this with like Groq CodeFast. We can do this with GPT-5 Codex and we'll see the differences. I'm pretty sure Codex will just get this all in one shot because Codex is so really good about like not doing code that's repeated. And but this is basically the spec here. So I have an actual baseline spec and I yap in terms of like what's feature I want. And then it generates a spec based off of, what I want. And so basically you can kind of think of this as a very lightweight PRD. And this is probably the best way usually to prompt models because a lot of them will have a better way of actually achieving the goals. And in one of my specs for generating these files, I like to make sure that they're in phases. So the phases are super important because that's how it's going to implement these smaller chunks, verify things before moving to the next step. And so these logical phases are really, really important. And this is all based off of this review file here. So let me just get rid of these guys. And so this is the README that I have for my agents. And so whenever they're generating documentation, they follow this structure. And this is kind of what's currently active. Because sometimes I'll have two agents working on the feature at once. And I would want to make sure that there's no collision and that they're specifically working on certain features. So this is an amazing way to, this is actually like a spec file that it's going to generate. And then these are the different phases that it has as well. So yeah, let's take a look here real quick and see what the progress of this model is. As of now, it's almost at 50%. And did we finish? So the implementation is ready for testing. So the users can now sign in and visit Gallery and then get premium upgrade prompts if they don't have access, and then view their personal images with pagination, modal views, and see upgrade CTAs with clear call to actions. So test the premium gating behavior. This is crazy. Set up the proper click integration for membership tiers and then enable retention. This is wild. Let's go ahead and go back real quick and see what files were changed. So we have changes in this type of thing here. It added this whole new file. It basically modified this one here for the public gallery image. I'm just getting a quick like sniff test to see how bad are we, This is pretty bad. There's a cron job and it has to, bro, why did you leave to do's? Oh my God, bro. They made this new file and they left some to do's, implement actual deletion logic once the feature is ready. So I get it, but that's why I gave the model to you. Oh man, this is wild. Okay, let's see what else. Private gallery, owner scoped. So it added more code instead of removing it. Okay, I was hoping it was going to reuse code. Define tables. So what did it define? A new index? And then it's going to generate, and then the users is a new file. I don't like this model. It's so ugly. It so likes to write new code really fast. It should have reused a lot of components. That's weird. Okay. I think we should do, does it build or does it blend, if you know what I mean? Let's go ahead and see. So I have my terminal running. Let's see. I'm just kind of checking some things. So yeah, I think all the app compiled. Yes, it didn't even check the actual errors from the output. I should have done that. Okay, so fetching. So I'm going to kill these terminals here. I'm going to go back to my thing here, Command J, and then just going to do bun x, because that way I can clear my terminals and stuff and do this bun dev. And so when I run my convex server, it's going to check for type errors and be like, yo, you can't even like, don't come at me with this. So Command K, I'm just going to tell it to fix these errors. So, okay. The build was not successful with convex. And then, yeah, okay. So I'm trying this new, for those who don't know, who are just joining in the stream, if you go to like settings and if you go to the beta, there's this new thing called the agent window. And that's kind of what you're seeing right now. So that's how you're seeing me toggle back and forth. So if I do Command E, that's how I'm seeing this new specific view just for the agents. So it's kind of cool because then you can get all the agent chats over here, which you don't really always need to see. And so for the current session that you're working on, you can kind of see the stream of what the agent's happening. And then one of the cool things that I like here are these little toggles for the UI. So this is something that I saw in the Z editor, which I really liked a lot. But then this kind of somehow went away and it wasn't as clean. And but Cursor has now incorporated it so you can actually see your different files and you can click on them. You can kind of see them. It moves pretty fast. It's kind of nice actually. If I option click, yeah. So if I hit command and if I click them, then it will command click all of them. No. Yeah, no. Option click. I wanna, yeah. Okay. So if I hit alt or option, I think, then it will like click them all. Yeah. Okay. That makes more sense. Sweet. I like this. Okay, cool. That's a lot of files that it wrote. Okay. Let's see if it's fixing our bugs here for us. What did it say? Oh man, Bonix convex dev, perfect. Must have a default export for the crons. I'm really surprised it didn't follow my rules and stuff. Test premium gating, sign in with a free account. Let me just go back to make sure we have not resolved the issue. Yo, this model's low-key trash right now. Oh no, we have more errors. Okay. Only actions can be defined in Node. Yeah, I'm super surprised that it's failing at these like simple errors because GPT-5 does not do this. And so I'm going to go back to cursor, command E, and I'm going to say, be sure to follow at convex rules. I have a convex rules files. I'm still, oh, okay, whatever. It's going to do its thing. Let me catch up a little bit with the comments because y'all be crazy. Okay. It told me it's Supernova by Supernova Corp. Huh. I just joined. How does this compare to Sonnet? It's not as good. Why would Google release a 200K context window? I don't know. I mean, they could just be one of their like free code models that they're going to put into like some free product, right? Like that's really going to take a lot of hit, you know? How new is it? I just saw in Cursor search like literally hours ago. Like this is how new it is. Can you share your stream setup? Yeah, I'll have to share some of that in a bit. It's basically just Ecamm Live for streaming. And then I have a Rodecaster Duo, which is what I'm using right now to speak into my microphone. It's taking the microphone in. So this is a Shure SM7B, Elgato arm and everything like that. I have a camera that's hooked up to it, and Ecamm Live is kind of controlling. And so when I hit a little button here, this is kind of what's triggering these scenes. That's kind of how to get set up. Like your videos a lot, by the way. Nice content. It feels like you take your time and make your own opinion. I like it. Ben, this is the only way to do it. We have to test these models ourselves and see, what they actually do. I'm an engineer, so I'm always going to be using AI or any new types of technology to figure out if this can work for me or make it work for me, right? So this is kind of what we're witnessing live. So let's see what's happened. I've resolved the deployment issue. Problem was defined with an internal mutation marked with use node, but convex doesn't allow mutations in Node.js files. See, I have these rules files that are littered everywhere, but this model, for whatever reason, isn't picking that up. And these rules files are actually defined in my cursor rules, and they are enabled in these different directories. So now if I go back here, we should have, our functions are now ready to go at the bottom. Okay, cool. And then I'm going to kill this and go back to this. So it's interesting that 3001, did it kind of do something here? Okay, so in my terminal, I'm curious. Okay, cool. So we'll go back here and then Bonix convex dev. Yeah, I'm just going to open up 3001. Let's see here. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Some other process is probably running in the background. Okay, cool. So we're here. And so I have like an image or something. So if I have one here, share settings. Okay. And so if I drop an image to upload like this one. So this is going to upload something. So this is going to process something. And then I can probably upload some more. So like if I go to desktop and then like I can upload some more images. So I have some sample images here. And then I'll just do one like this with my dog. So this is like the image that I generated here. And so this is copy share link here. And so this is this here. And then the thing that it did was this thing called galleries. So if I go back, basically if I go to like create my own, this takes me to here. So if I go to /galleries, I think it's /gallery, right? Yeah. So premium access required for private gallery. This is like a really ugly error. So I want to see if we can actually take screenshots here with our agent and then upload them, because that'd be really cool to do that, you know? So let me go ahead and see if I can grab a screenshot file here. Cool. Let me just drag this across over here. So I think this model should be able to take some screenshots. When I go to, I'm not able to see the image I create. Okay. I just wrote to you about the Supernova. Is not answering. He's probably streaming already. Bro, we have to try out these models, bro. Like, I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to read your message, bro. I'm pretty sure you've tried this thing and you said like it's kind of trash, low key. Oh, man. Okay. Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Let's see what's going on right now. So we're basically trying to see if we can fix the image. And I was just kind of checking in on my friends and seeing what's going on. Oh, man. Is there a new Sonnet model, by the way? I'm just really curious because I'd love to test that out, because this is definitely not Sonnet. I can tell you that for sure. You know what? It wouldn't surprise me if this was like a haiku model, like from Claude, but I don't think haiku writes that many comments, you know? Yeah, this is interesting. So what's it doing here? I don't even know. Can I go back and read some of its thinking process? Because I'm really curious to see what it thinks. And so the thinking might be able to kind of tell me some more about what it's thinking about. It doesn't tell me, I can't see the thinking output. Oh man, that sucks. I wish I can see the thinking. Yeah, they don't reveal the thinking for this model. Oh, bummer. Oh, that sucks. Okay. I would have loved to have seen the thinking for this model, because that would have helped like actually tell me a little bit more of like where it's coming from. But like, it gives me Google vibes with the amount of comments that I'm seeing and the amount of like, look at this. It didn't write the code. It just wrote all these comments. Like, this action can be called from middleware. Like, I've only seen this in Google's Gemini Pro models and stuff. For now, we'll use a simple approach. It's like over explaining instead of actually writing the code. Like, it didn't even implement it. It actually wrote. This is so bad. Oh, this is so bad. This is why it's so broken. Oh, let me just continue reviewing. I don't even know. I'm just going to throw all this away. This is so trash. Okay, look at this, from green to purple. This is like typical AI code. Okay, so there's a lot of things that's going on right now. So one of the things is like, one, it doesn't recognize that I have a design system, which is in the actual rules files. So it should be able to go back and reference that. And so it's definitely not like a GPT Codex model, because GPT-5 and Codex are so good about following rules and instructions. And especially with these really structured prompts and spec files, that this is totally not respecting that. Claude Sonnet and also Claude Opus are extremely good also at following specs, and they are more happy at writing code and writing new code and new functions to do things. So that's kind of why I don't really think it's a Sonnet or Opus type of model. If it's a haiku model, maybe, but it gives me the Google vibes, like more of like the Flash type of vibes, like a Google Nano Flash or something like that. Some really like minimal model that like has that trained behavior to write lots of comments in the code and leave to-dos in your code. but doesn't like actually write the code for you, which is my biggest frustration with some of the Google models. And I don't think it's like a Groq model with a K, because the Groq models actually are really good at architecture and are really good at writing code and are very thorough, and they actually write less code in a lot of ways. And so, yeah, the mystery model still kind of is a mystery here. And we're already approaching almost 60% of the context window. So this is where I'm ready to kind of just nuke this whole thing and start fresh again and maybe start something smaller. So like, obviously it can't handle anything past 50%. And at this point, I'm just pretty much declaring bankruptcy, because there's no way like this code is even like, this is so nasty. Like, I would not want to check this in. This is too nasty. It was like, look at this. Like, like to-dos, like, oh, I did not ask you to write to-dos in my files. I just asked you to work on phase 0 before you move on to the next phase. And that's what's a little bit frustrating about this model right now. And yeah. Oh man, this is too funny actually. A bunch of people claim this is Anthropic, but that's when I'm like canceling it all. Yeah, bro. Yeah, definitely not Anthropic, bro. Like, I feel like, yeah, you gotta develop some more taste to see. This is a simulation. What model are you? I replied with a simulation. I am Groq by XAI. Nah, bro, it can't be Groq. Can't be. I mean, watch. I'll show you what Groq looks like. That's what we'll do right now. We're just gonna delete all this code because this is trash. This is so trash right now. And let's go back to the. But before I delete anything, let me just go ahead and kind of take a look at the actual app. Just make sure all my stuff's running. Okay, so my functions are still running. Everything is still airing out. Let me just kind of quit this here. And then let me also kill the other stuff that's running on port 3001. Let's see. /Gallert. Yeah, like no. I'm just gonna kill all this code. This is nasty. This is nasty. I'm not even gonna do this. I'm just gonna say discard changes. Get out of here with this trash. Discard all 8 files. Undo all the things. Yeah. Cool. It's deleting all my schemas and everything. Oh, I love convex. Okay. Bun dev. Okay. And then I'm just going to have, I'm going to open up a new window. This is, so yeah. Okay. I'm going to go say, sonnet, like not even sonnet. Jesus. I'm just going to do auto. I'm going to say, kill all processes running on port 3000. And I think it's PS, like I could do it myself. It's like PS aux grep. This will do it all faster. ls of, okay, perfect. So ls of I : 3000 xargs kill -9. Okay, cool. So let's kind of run this command real quick in terminal. So it's always good to like, I always forget my terminal commands from time to time. And like I have some handy ones ready, but like I forget some of them. So ls of, so if you do ls of -h, let's see, what does this show us? This utility. It's always good to learn these types of things. So ls of will tell us like, so if you do ls, you do like list of like your file system, and then ls of will like show your processes, right? All the different processes that you're currently running on the system, which these are all of them that are currently running. And then I just like to do ps command C. PS aux will usually just give me all of the same ones, but like in this type of thing. And so sometimes I like to do ps aux, like, and then grep something. And so I can grep like different things that I want to. I could do grep -e, like localhost. And then this will tell me like anything that's currently running in my system that's using localhost. Or I can just do like Notion, watch, like I think, watch this, Notion, see aux, grep, I think it's Notion. So Notion is currently running all of these different processes like in the background. And so when you launch the app, basically not only are you launching the app itself, which is this container here, but they have other helper files. So Notion will launch in these different processes, these different types of things in the background. And so sometimes people wonder like, how does an app take up so much memory? And what they're doing is that they're basically popping off new threads to do different types of work. So their AI model will do work, something that will like listen to actual audio will start doing some work because they record meetings. Some stuff will do other work to do background tasks and other types of things like GPU enable memory. So these are all the different parameters that they're running. And in their app, you have these little helper files. And these helper files are basically what they ship in their app to, do different things. So all of these types of things, like from like screen recording kits. So Notion is like actually recording my screen or running this process to record my screen, probably for some type of, I don't know, voice recording or video recording for screen capture, or I don't know what they're actually doing, but you can do this by running these types of commands. You can learn a lot about what's currently running. You could do one for like, should I do, cursor. So this is what cursor is currently running. And so these are all the different plugins that they kick off. And so you'll see like there are different extensions and like they have all these different things that are currently running. So yeah, it's just kind of helpful. It's like kind of how the shell works. But I know I totally sidetracked here. Let's see, fun dev. All right, so we should have back to our local state. And then the next thing, what's going on? Okay, I'm reloading my app. Okay, cool. So now my app is basically back up and running. Okay, cool. So we're back into a working state again. And so basically what we found out so far, please not Anthropic. Yeah, I always keep coming back to Brother Claude. Sonnet's just so consistent, not perfect. So apparently they fixed Sonnet now, so it should be pretty good. So yeah. Okay, so I think one of the things I wanted to try out was people wanted to see. So like so far the Code Supernova thing, I don't know, like the first shot of it just didn't really listen to my instructions. It ignored a lot of the tool calling, and it also ignored like my rules files that I have everywhere. And I did not find that super impressive, So I'm just going to go ahead and undo these changes. Discard changes, please. Yeah, move to trash. Okay, so the model that I wanted to sort of compare it to, I think we should do is Claude Code is dead. What's that? I don't use Claude Code anymore. No, I still use Claude Code actually. And so I think what we should do is just grab the same prompt and then give it to a different model. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say this, and then actually, what I'm going to do is I should be able to just duplicate the chat, right? There should be a place where I could just duplicate this chat. Can I? No? Okay, maybe not. All right, so I'm just going to copy and paste this and go to the new agent chat. This, and then I'm going to say, like, instead of Code Supernova, what should we do? So people think it's related to Groq. And so should we use Groq 4? Let's see. Groq 4 has, let's see, switch to AI model. Like, we'll see, because Groq 4 hasn't really been updated. Let's do Groq CodeFast, right? So if it's related to Groq CodeFast, then maybe that we can see if it does similar types of comments and things. So we're just going to run this right now. And as an experiment, I'm just really curious as an experiment, like, will this actually have similar behaviors to what we just saw? And like it not following rules and like, doing really dumb stuff. And so I'm really curious to see how it's going to actually implement this. And this is moving pretty fast. So like, let's just see. So look at this actual like plan, right? It looks a little bit different. And yeah, this is how you can tell like a behavior for a model and how it's trained, right? Like it's now running it's actually following the Bunix convex dev rules that I have, like the schema thing I'm talking about. And then now it generated more to-dos like phase 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's clearly read my spec file and it's actually understanding what phases they should implement each one in a specific order and then updating them as it goes. This is really beautiful. So this is Groq CodeFast as a comparison, right? So here's entitlements and I like gorgeous. And so this is the types of comments that Groq Code likes to leave. It likes to leave these things in the header, not leaving you with like empty code in the middle saying, I'll do this later. I got you, fam. And so, yeah, this is actually removing the cleanup of the other code model. It's like, hey, this shouldn't be. Oh, no, is it? No, it's doing a different thing. It's running a new one. Okay. Let's see. Sync users. Wow. Okay. The internal API. Yeah, this is just going. And we can actually see it's thinking. They probably hide the thinking from the test model as probably part of some type of agreement or something because they don't want people to know or train against the data. This is cool. It's writing a lot of code, but I should probably say keep it dry. But this is actually writing the code as opposed to the other model. And as of now, we've only used 61,000 tokens. So now it's moving on to phase one, create background migration to backfill user ID and historical images. And so, wow. So this migration is basically what it's going to do is because right now, what's happening is that all of my images are currently all public. And I actually don't have any of them labeled saying this is from this user or this is from that user. And so it's actually writing a script right now to migrate those users and like all the current images that are in the public gallery to like maybe this other specific type of implementation. I haven't really read through the code. It's moving super fast for me to read it right now, but I'll probably read it when it's done. But it's now backfilling its owners and stuff like that. This is wild. This is really cool. Yeah. My bet is that Groq CodeFast with multimodal. That'd be interesting. Yeah. Wow. I mean, this is a pretty detailed plan. For this migration, we'll skip images without user ID. Determine. I can see why people think it's Groq. This Groq plan is leaving a lot of comments, but it's not. It's actually writing the code. And this Groq plan, this Groq CodeFast one is actually following the plan more than the previous one, where it just really went off the rails. This is awesome. Images. Wow, this is wild. Let me make this bigger so that we can see this. I kind of like this new agents view because I could just kind of review code more often here. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on. So if I do Command E, okay. So I should be able to have like a code diff, right? This is terminal. I don't need the terminal. I'm just looking at this view now. So yeah. Groq. Hey, yo, the icon is fire now. Yes. Yeah. So for people who are members of the stream, you basically get this little fire icon and stuff. Also, streaming in 4K for those who are just kind of wondering. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger, if it's even more readable for y'all. Because, yeah, let me know if you need this font size smaller or bigger. Like if I go here, is it too small for y'all? Like, let me know. I would love to know. And it's just currently going through. So we're currently in phase 3 of this plan. This is a massive plan. So basically what it's done is like create an entitlement for source of truth, create a entitlements folder, and then it's like adding these images to the table for like owner scopes, because a lot of the images right now are currently public. I haven't implemented anything that says I am the owner of this image. As soon as I upload it, I can see it in my own private gallery. And this is kind of what it's going through right now. It's implementing that whole plan that was described in my documentation. So there's now a private gallery here, which is pretty cool. And then now it's saying create private gallery. And now it's actually going to create some of the apps here for us here. That's pretty cool. So as far as the Code Supernova, the reason why we're doing this is because the Code Supernova stuff that came out, when it did it, it had no concept of all of my like rules and all these different things and tool calling stuff. And it just kind of fell apart right away. And I was only wanting really to implement the first phase. These models are all very anxious and wanting to implement things extremely quickly. But this, just see the convex entitlement source of truth, schema updates. And so migration created background migration script to backfill the user ID historical images. So it may not even work on our first try. We'll see. Implemented sync user settings to sync clerk metadata. So this is something I'll probably want to change because I actually don't want this to happen. I actually want it to be the source of truth in a table inside of convex. Private gallery backend. Front experience. So only premium users can access private galleries. Users can see their own images with proper database indexing. I see. And then clear upgrade paths. This is awesome. And so let's just see if I do Command E, like what's happened here so far. So it should have ran my different settings here. I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller so I can actually start to operate here. I do, let's see, bun-x, convex dev. Bun dev. Okay, so I have a, can you run the bun-x convex dev commands? Let's see. Okay, so this totally worked out. Okay. And yeah, my stuff's unresponsive right now. Let's see. So when I ran the bun-x convex dev, I get So what's interesting about this new agent view, it doesn't seem to pull in from the terminal, even the terminal like that's currently on here, or the terminal that's from the other window. And usually it does that. I guess it does here, which I find a little strange, but yeah. So now it's actually thought upon the issue. Okay. Do you actually prefer Clerk over other solutions? Mostly because it's a pretty straightforward setup, and like adding new features is pretty fast. But to me, I haven't had an app go viral where I needed more than like 25 or 20,000 users. And so, you know, it's all built in. I think the other part of it is emails, especially for apps like this that are still early. I don't necessarily need an email system. I just need people to sign in. And then I email them directly from my Gmail account. I say, hey, you know, this is this problem or XYZ or something's going on. And then like even my first customers with Polar and stuff, like, or Stripe, like there's not a lot of emails that I send back and forth. So that's the advantage of using Clerk, is that whenever somebody onboards or they forgot their password or something happens, that's already built into Clerk, and I don't have to stand up an email service. And so, yeah, I don't have to pay all these different resend fees, which makes it super convenient. So yeah, I don't know, like just out of the get-go, I know Better Auth just came up with a bunch of plugins for Convex, which make it really cool. But, you know, like I still need to play around with that, kind of see what that looks like. But I think at the end of the day, I still need an email service like Resend or like Loops or something to kind of get that connected. So what's going on now? So it's actually taking a look at the Convex logs, and it's taking a look at the errors. So I have a rule for this, and it hasn't really been following it here. So when I ran okay. So now it's basically iterating on itself. And so what we're going to be comparing soon, or very shortly, I'll probably like refresh this page. Let's see, localhost 3000. So we should be able to see like a gallery I think it's /gallery, right? /gallery. Okay. User settings not found. Please try again. Okay. That's not implemented. So Convex dev is now running successfully. Okay. Let's see. Bonex, Convex dev. Okay, so the functions are ready. Gallery. Yeah, private gallery. Let's see. The gallery has a page, and then suspense fallback, private gallery. So the private gallery is currently, I'm just reading through the code it generated. So in the private gallery, how are we gating this here so far? Query private gallery data, gallery. So there is no, okay. So it should fail. Yeah, because user settings not found, please try again. And has this concept of a private gallery, but then there's no actual like gallery metadata, because my membership, like I have no membership tiers and I'm free. And so I probably would have to create new users or like set up some migrations, because my users who are already existing and have been using the app, like don't have these new parameters and stuff enabled. And so I'll have to give that as part of its instruction set. As far as like things here that are kind of going on, maybe that's kind of what I'll have to say. And let's just kind of take a look at the code really quick, because we're just going to compare this now to what kind of came out to the Code Supernova model. And so here, if we take a look at the code, one of the differences we see is like the code is actually like, these are all new files that were written. And so the code that it wrote, you know, actually kind of created the code and didn't really write a lot of comments. And here, you know, this is Groq CodeFast, right? So Groq CodeFast had some comments like here as far as like what it's doing, because it was just mimicking what it had already read in the file above it and below it. And here in the modifying of the schema, we see some comments here. And here in the users table, you can actually see some of these comments up here, but like very minimal, or they actually kind of explain things like at a framework level, like, hey, this is kind of what we're doing here, which is super helpful to guide me and also guide the agents as far as like what it's actually really doing. And all these new files, like it didn't write a lot of code, right? I don't really like that they did this. It's like, yeah, just don't mind us, bro. We're just gonna put any and a bunch of other stuff in here. So yeah, like this migration still active backfill. What I should have kicked off was a Codex thing and just had Codex running in the background, because that would have been super helpful to see. And it's interesting because it did actually like put this stuff in here. You might want to check if there's session, create. So like it's leaving this for me here, which I find really interesting. This is not probably the architecture I would do for this type of thing. I think what I would also do is probably like with these models, because they code so fast and their context so low, and the intelligence isn't as high as like an Opus or something like that. I have these phases in my actual plan, so I should just say, just do phase 0 and nothing else, and let's just go ahead and work through those problems. Which would probably be a better way of kind of like coding with these models. But we can tell a difference already from Code Supernova. So Code Supernova wrote a lot of to-dos and just left a lot of code empty, right? It even wrote us like example code inside of these files and just wrote some to-dos and just kind of left them there. And I found that kind of like, what the hell? I've only seen that behavior in some of the earlier Google models. And so I've kind of stopped using them, to be honest. I've focused on Claude Code a lot. And so, yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. So we've tried Code Supernova and, just didn't really do too well there. The second one we tried here was Groq CodeFast. And so you're seeing how Groq Code and Cursor kind of behave here. And so, yeah, I don't know, like, what are you guys thinking as far as like how this is going so far? And like, what do you want to see next? Because I feel like this is me kind of doing a test stream, and I'll probably be getting offline pretty soon. And this was just kind of like informal thing. I was just kind of getting over a cold, and I just wanted to make sure that I was able to hop on here and try some other things. So I guess, to be honest, I want to try, the Codex model, right? So I feel like that's the whole point of like Codex. And so let's just go ahead and discard these changes too. Let's go ahead and discard all, right? Yeah, it's kind of, to me, it's been really fun to just throw away code like this. Yeah, we're just deleting everything. We're back to our working state, which is really cool. Let's see, fun dev. Cool. So we should be back to our working state again. All right, cool. All right. So while this is doing its thing there, if anyone's interested, I'm actually running like a quick like one-on-one type of training thing. And so what I'm offering is basically like this 5-day, what I call like elite AI coding. So for those that don't know, the 1337 in gamer speak is called LEET. And so this is your opportunity to kind of work with me one-to-one. And one of the things that I cover a lot is like generating your rules files, generating documentation. And this is something that I'm going to be hosting. So for the next couple of weeks, if you want to go ahead and sign up, this is probably your best chance to do that, to work with me one-to-one. So to do that, the link is here, rfer.me/1337. And so if you click this link here, you can kind of do this now. And I'm only going to have this available for, the 3 people basically, because that's all I can take on right now. And I just want to work with you one-to-one and kind of work with you through your problems that you're facing as far as code and stuff like that. If you're not satisfied, you basically just get your money back, which is super awesome. So the 5-a-day deep dive will just be these 45 minutes, and this has to be sequential. So if you're going to be dedicated to this, you have to make sure you have the next 5 days available for this. And it's just going to be 45 to 30 minutes. And we're going to cover like documentation, your rules files, everything you kind of see me do on stream here, how I code with AI, getting your models. If you have been prompting a lot with AI and kind of not really getting the results you want, or not really sure how to generate these plans, I'm going to give you that documentation, these rules files. I'm going to walk through you with your project. You just kind of show me what you're working with, and we're going to get this set up for you. Because I want to make sure that after these 5 days, you're going to be like ready to kind of take off in this type of thing. So this is something that I'm doing. It's just it's a one-time fee here. It's like $13.37. I know it's pretty funny, but the prices are going to go up after that. So you're basically early to this thing, and if you want to go ahead and book this, this is really just best for folks on like in the US time zones right now. I'm going to have some stuff that's going to be very European friendly in the future. And this is kind of where I'm at right now with Hawaii and stuff like that. So go ahead and do that. Once you get booked and everything, we'll walk you through the whole link there. So you can check out that link below as your best way to kind of get started working with me one-on-one. For me, this is really like the best way for me to like kind of work with you. Sometimes if I make time to make these videos and release them like a week later, a month later, AI moves so fast, and it's like you have problems that are very specific to you. And I think this is kind of like the better way, is like, hey, you can leverage my expertise and I can sit down with you one-to-one and kind of look through these types of things. So it's a great primer for us to get started and kind of working together. So that's kind of that there. Love the price, of course. Yeah. The mini for sure. Yeah. I was going to call it Cook. But I just decided like I already have 1337 in my handle, and let's just kind of start off there. I think it's really cool. So yeah, let's hand this thing off to Codex. I'm really curious to see how Codex is going to work with this type of model. So one of the plugins I have up here is called Codex. Let's see, amp, augment, Codex. Okay, cool. So with Codex, I'm just basically just going to give it the similar prompt. I'm just going to say GPT-5 Codex. I have it set to high right now. I don't think I really need to select it. It should be able to do its own thing. And I should have, agent has full access. And down below, I'm going to just have it work locally. So I'll say, please implement the plan. Please implement at gallery spec, private gallery spec. Cool. And go. So this is going to be thinking, and we're going to see it do its thing. So there was one guy by the name of Groq Coder, and what he was saying was that in its hierarchy of using the shell, one of the things it actually prefers to use over Bash is actually something called PowerShell. Oh man, I'm getting errors. And so PowerShell is like just a more powerful version of the shell, and it has like different tooling than the regular Bash shell that has. And I thought that was really interesting. I'm gonna have to look into getting that installed in my system. So if this can actually make, Codex run a little bit more powerful, I think that might be a really good idea. And so right now it's basically now reading through my different agents files. And so one of my favorite features that I've been doing recently is basically setting up my agents files. And the way I set up the agents files is these models do really well if they have like a root level agent file. And from the root level, they can actually point to other parts of the documentation. So as the agent goes to that specific folder to write code, it's going to reference that agent's MD file and then know what to do when it's in there. So when it's working on my front end app, it's going to see this agent's MD. And when it's going to write code or think about code here or grab context, these are like my scopes. It's like, hey, whenever you're working with this is how we actually do stuff in our file structure. This is how I use client and server components. This is the convex integration stuff that I'm doing with my database. And then this is how the real-time safety stuff works. And so these are some common patterns and things. And this is all generated by basically generating one rules file and then other types of files and things that I have as far as examples from my code base. And so when you generate them for each of these different directories, you can kind of see this thinking process as it's going through. This one's like, Codex is great because it's now actually stepping through my plan, stepping up through the different rules files, stepping through the actual spec, and then requesting continuation. So it's actually thinking it needs to grab some more lines of the actual spec file. And now it's actually searching through the components and it's trying to understand what's happening in my components stuff. And now it's like looking at the convex stuff as well. So it's like, hey, what's going on in there? And so you can kind of see it basically just cooking. And to me, this adds a lot of reliability behind these models to, like actually perform the coding tasks that they're supposed to do. And with Codex itself, it's actually one of the top rated for following instructions, like this. So this is kind of what it's doing right now. Codex for cursor needs two things: thinking time and context window percentage. Yes. Yeah, I wish I had that because when I run the CLI, it does show that. It shows us that it's like, not the thinking time, but it shows us the window percentage. CLI has both. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know if the extension was just made as like a quick preview window type of thing. So that's what's going to happen there. Let's see. Command K on dev. Okay, cool. Let's see here. Awesome. All right. So now it's actually arranging tasks. Okay. So review existing front and back end patterns, determine changes for private gallery, implement convex backend schema entitlements, build the front end private gallery experience with premium gating. This is great. Run relevant checks, lint, build, validate key flows, summarize changes. This is awesome. So now it's actually reading files and then exploring the stuff that's generated. And then now it's like building out the detailed tasks, which is really awesome. So yeah, sweet, man. This is awesome. Cool. We're cooking, fam. All right. So, yeah. All right. So we have that there. This is this thing going on. And let's see. That's the admin. And this app is, you know, kind of growing a lot because it's really interesting as far as like how much a lot of this app is kind of evolved. And so it started really simple as like, you know, a simple app to just upload the image. And now it's turned into like, now users can upload things, they can share them. We can have like links that are currently like enabled for sharing, links that will expire as well. And then I could even feature images like in the public gallery. So if I wanted to feature an image in the public gallery, we can go ahead and do that. So like if I want this one enabled, I could just toggle this. And then when I sign out of my app, it's going to show us a view now, like a landing page view. And then the features, like the featured images will actually show up in here. And that's actually what it's doing right now. So we have to fix this as well. And so, yeah, this is something that I made using the new Nano Banana stuff, and actually forked the repo from Ross Mike. And so Ross Mike is the person who kind of came up with this app here. And you can kind of see the other ones. So there's a bug here actually where like if I enable a feature to be on, it's actually not showing up as featured. So I got to fix that. So yeah, when you say start creating, basically that's what's kind of happening there. So yeah, man, we have a lot of stuff that's kind of happening right now. And so yeah, that's this thing here. Currently just signing into my account. I also just got my new iPhone. And so I have yet to actually unbox this. And this is kind of what I'm going to be doing probably very shortly because I got to be heading out very soon. And I want to check out some of the other models and stuff too. So as of right now, like I have this app up, the Code Supernova thing, like, I don't know. I'm not really too impressed with it. I think it's like I have to try smaller chunks of instructions. Like for example, just implement phase 0 and see what happens. And then maybe fix this other bug that I just have and see if it can actually understand and know how to fix that. That'll probably be a better use of like trying something out. So I just wanted to try out this live stream. This is literally just me trying out my new 4K setup because I wanted to make sure that things are looking pretty good. Font sizes are good. The audio is really good, that y'all are able to flow with me right here. Unfortunately, when I stream in 4K, I'm only able to stream it to one direction. So right now I'm only sending it over to YouTube. And so this is currently not live on X, and there's a whole set of people who can't really see this on, X there. So most of my audience is between the two platforms, and I don't know. I feel like at the end of the day, YouTube is kind of what matters, anyways. Because if you have a 4K stream, now you have like a really crispy image, and you can put this on your TV and take a look at this stuff. So Codex is currently cooking away at our plan. It's what I like about it is it tends to be really like thoughtful in its code, but I am seeing a lot of stream errors here too. So that's what's really interesting. And I don't know if it's just load or whatever they got going on, but we can also track the changes here. And so this is kind of the changes it's got going on so far. Yeah, it's cool. It's like keeping the changes really kind of minimal, which I appreciate. Nice video. Well done. What's the thoughts on the model now? I watched in the first 20 to 25 minutes, but scrolled to live now. And I'm just curious what the best free model on Open Router or something. Best free model on Open Router? Let's see. Wait, curious on what the best free model available. So, man, I think the best free, I don't think free should not be your bar. If you're super price conscious, just use GPT-5. And then the way that you can get really good with GPT-5 is giving it these types of plans, right? So the plans you want to give is like be very clear on what types of features you want to build. What's your specs going to look like? How are the phases going to be built? And then be really clear with that, and then make sure that it enforces and stays with that, and you have a little feedback loop. It's going to cost you the least, and GPT-5 is the one that's like the best at following these instructions, more specifically GPT-5 Codex. So that's probably your best way to get started. And then the API cost is super cheap. So if you don't know, there's a new thing called Bunx CC usage. And so this will actually tell you how much usage you've used over a period of time. And so I'll show you really quickly how much usage you get for something like this. And it's actually going to blow your mind. So Codex, all right, check this out. So as of now, $4.33, and that's 14 million tokens. This, if you just do this without Codex, if you just do Bunx CC usage, see usage monthly, watch, I'll show you what happens. To get 66 million tokens is going to cost you $173 when you use the Opus model. And so there is a huge difference. And the difference is like the GPT-5 Codex is like the best deal you can get right now for the intelligence. And if you've ever used like a premium model like Opus, the intelligence is amazing. It comes at a high cost, but the planning and the output and the thoroughness that you need is there. And so it's kind of like leaning on someone who's being paid like $250,000 to $300,000 to like not have to spend a lot of that mental energy on it. And so the conversations you have back and forth on a premium model is nice. And if you're looking at cost savings and like really kind of doing something like that, if you have GPT-5 Codex and you set that to high and have like this conversation, or just GPT-5 and set it to high and have a nice like lengthy conversation, it's going to take you a longer time to round trip. But you want to round trip like that for a long time when you're planning with like specs and trying to get these little details done. And so one of the advantages that the O3 models previously had was like they were the best for agentic search on the web. So they can spin off multiple threads. They can search through things. They can verify things that they looked through the web, follow your requests, and then pull that information back into the main model and then make some more decisions and give you actually really good, clear output. And so you're getting that now with GPT-5 High, especially if you do agentic web search. And all of that helps you build a better spec file, right? You want to build rules files. You want to have these different things that can pull in. And so that way, when it comes to the Codex model, the Codex one is going to be like really good at, I'm going to do this task. I'm going to keep repeating until I basically am steered into the right direction. And so that's probably the best way that I would go right now. Everything else is just kind of meh, as you see. And yeah, I mean, you also have to value your time. Like, where are you in the actual spectrum of like, are you an engineer like Fang level, or are you just kind of getting started? You just graduated. Are you just prototyping apps? Like, are you just getting started on your journey? You know, I think all of these things kind of matter. And I think getting you closer towards, the software development workflow is probably going to help you in your, overall like learning how to code, but also like making better plans and getting better output from these models, which is super important. So yeah. Awesome, man. Yeah. Like it's crazy out there. Yeah. But we're seeing now, like, Codex is going to take a little while for it to do its thing. And it's currently just kind of, it's chilling right now. Let's go ahead and take a look and see Codex. Yeah. So now it's basically like doing all this stuff in code, which is awesome. This is exactly what I was hoping for it to do. Resolved tier. It's actually writing a migration file, which is great. Let's see what else is going on here. Cool. Entitlements. Nice. Sweet. Designing a migration to backfill image owners. This is awesome. And then like, this is the crons file. So when we had the Code Supernova do this, like it just left a lot of comments and didn't even make the cron job. This is great. So the free tier retention cleanup. So part of my plan here was that in the free tier, after so many hours, the images would get removed, right? So like, I didn't want to keep them around because if the users aren't paying, why keep the images around and then have it eat up my costs? And so this is kind of really cool. Now it actually has a cron job that it wrote for me. And this is why I appreciate like the GPT-5 Codex model. Like it's being very thorough through my entire plan and it's going through its thing. It's like, it's still cooking right now. So it's like, we're only at phase, like the first one out of the 4 tasks. That's like super impressive, right? And so it's really nice. This is the reason why I do these types of planning, by the way, is because instead of me sitting in front of this browser, instead of local, I could have just done cloud. And I'm just so happy to just go off to the beach, implement phase 0, I'll come back. And then, I go to the grocery store, I check. I was like, that looks cool. Let's merge it and like implement phase 1 now. And like with just that type of ease, I'm able to trust that these models are going to do their work because I've already done a lot of work ahead of time to set up the agents MD files, these different rules files. I mean, you can tell that GPT-5 Codex is my favorite model right now. I'm going to try Claude Code again because I heard that Claude Code has finally made those improvements. But one of my favorite things about GPT-5 Codex is that it doesn't like to generate new code. And it's not really like the Sonnet models are extremely anxious to generate new code, get the job done and get out of there. And then later on, that becomes like too many of these functions that do too many of the same things. Even though you tell it to be dry, which is don't repeat yourself, it still wants to create a new function and get out of there. As opposed to where GPT-5 is like, you know what, I should rethink this architecture. Let me kind of go back and walk back through these steps again and get rid of stuff, which is kind of like, that's what I want. And it actually doesn't cost more, which is even crazier, right? So the best of both worlds there. So yeah, that's kind of like what I'm thinking. Which model is this, guys? I don't know. Like, I don't think it's Groq Code, because Groq Code actually gets work done. It would be a huge regression if it was Groq Code, because Groq CodeFast, while it being fast, it like generated a lot better code than it did when we just, like just did Code Supernova. Code Supernova was like just comments everywhere, to-dos everywhere, a lot of mess everywhere. Oh, it was just nasty. I didn't really like it. And it reminded me of the early Google Gemini models, where it would just, you weren't really sure if it was pro or if it was free when you were running first Google Gemini, and it would just do a lot of that, like generate tons of comments, tons of pseudocode, tons of to-dos. And then what I found really strange is that model didn't actually read through my plan. So when we implemented Groq Code 1 fast, it actually read through my plan and showed us the different to-dos, like 12 different to-dos in all those different phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And those were the phases that I called out in my documentation. And that's actually what I appreciated. And so, Codex is taking its sweet time, but it's actually kind of following through, reading all these files, trying to actually do a lot of tool calling. And so there's a couple of things that we can have going on here. One is you have the bare model itself. So the bare model has its own, capabilities. But then there's also like what they call like the harness, which is the actual agentic work, all the tool calling, everything that needs to happen above that has to be done by the various teams. So Cursor, which is what I'm using with Cursor Agent, has to go through and then dig through the different files, do the tool chaining, and then respond to all these different types of things to make sure that the model can achieve its goals. And so Claude Code has its own harness. So that's its own app, and it's actually, pulling files, grepping, and doing those types of things. So you can have the same model in different apps, and it's going to behave differently. So this is just my first look inside of Cursor with Code Supernova. And, I wasn't really super blown away, to be honest. I was just really actually more frustrated that it generated a lot of slop and pseudocode and a lot of to-dos and a lot of comments everywhere. And so, yeah, I don't think it's Groq Code because of how we just showed up with Groq CodeFast, how different that behaved. And then, how different GPT-5 is behaving. And then, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's like Claude, like Haiku model or something like that. But then usually those models will have a lot more context window. And so, yeah, it could just be another like open source model or something like that that's coming through. That's really like fast, cost efficient, and just kind of coming out of nowhere. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah. But it's a good question. Yeah, let's see. So yeah, this plan's going on here. Okay, so we have 11 type of things here. So cool. I think as of now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I need to head on out to go get some dinner right now. And it's currently 5:20. And I want to let you know about this cool deal that I have going on. So a lot of people have been wanting to ask me about my rules files and my documentations. And I want to tell you about this thing called Fernando 1337. So 1337 stands for LEET. And I actually have this one-on-one AI intensive 5-day type of thing. So I have this basically going on for the next couple of weeks that's currently available. I only have 3 seats available, and I want to work with you directly. For those folks who are extremely interested in working with AI coding, maybe you've had a lot of frustrations, you've tried to set up your rules or trying to set up documentation and want to do some of the stuff that I do on the stream. This is your chance to kind of work with me directly. I'm available basically from 9 a.m. to 6 a.m. Hawaiian time. And so when you book this, you basically will be able to kind of sit down with me and we can kind of go over and make sure you have this roadmap so that you have like the diagnostics set up, figure out like where you're having issues with your AI, actually build your rules files and everything. So if you've been like not wanting to do this part of your AI setup, I'm telling you, like, once you get this set up, this is like the most important thing that you need to do for getting your AI agents to kind of get the output that you want, especially with the repeatability and like the documentation structure, because you're basically setting yourself up for like the agentic coding and your background tasks to not only be implemented, but actually work at the end of the day. And so this is kind of the stuff that I'm doing that you see me do live on stream. And it's just much easier if I work with you directly as opposed to like having a bunch of courses and videos and stuff that you file, and you still probably have lots of questions. And with the Discord, my time is limited, and I feel like this is probably the best way that I can, give my time and energy towards you So this is like a 5-day intensive. You just have to make sure that you have 5 days set up, 30 to 40 minutes a day, and for 5 days in a row. And then we'll pretty much just knock this out. So you can even start as soon as tomorrow if you wanted to. And it just starts at like $13.37. So this is what we're doing. And the price is basically going to go more than double that. Being extremely generous because, this is like the first time I'm doing it. And I want to get your feedback and I want to make sure that you're successful. And the best thing about this is basically it's 100% money back guarantee. So if it doesn't really work out for you or it doesn't really work for the both of us, it's like, hey, at the end of this, I don't feel like I got the value. It's okay. Like I live, I don't like depend on this type of thing. I'm actually more interested in kind of helping understand what your problems are and helping you guys directly. So that's kind of like the best way to do this. And so I feel like this is a better way to use my time and to like service people who kind of really value this type of thing. Because you probably don't have a lot of time to sit down through like tons of YouTube videos and tons of different things because you're probably also busy working in sales as well. So yeah, feel free to check it out. That link right there, rfer.me1337, that'll take you to the checkout and then you can book your time that's available and we'll kind of get connected there. So with that said, thank you for joining and watching the stream. I will be doing another stream tomorrow. So that way we can kind of continue to look at this Code Supernova model. I'm going to see if I can chunk some of the things down. And then I'm going to also continue to work on some of these features here and show you some of these documentation process and stuff that I'm showing you here on the stream. So thank you for tuning in and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace out, y'all.